Wow, the ratings for the Tennessee-Florida game were just unbelievable. Tennessee just drew an intense crowd. The Vols matchup against Florida on Saturday was received incredibly well nationally. The Tennessee-Florida game was the most watched game in the series in 13 years. The viewership was up 34% from a similar television window in 2021. Also, significant growth in streaming. College Game Day did incredibly well. Also, 1.9 million average viewers, up 21% from 2021 in week 4 at the same time. The final hour saw 2.6 million viewers. So here's what you did, Tennessee fans. You brought more viewers in. Viewers didn't go away. And that's why College Game Day will bend over backwards, left and right to go to some schools because of the environment. But those numbers mean a lot for the long-term success of the program, Amanda, because this offense is fantastic. The way this team is built is unbelievable. But ultimately, this is a finesse team. And at some point, it's going to have to get a little tougher, like in Alabama. And, well, I wouldn't say like a Georgia. Georgia's still pretty hardcore old school football. Alabama has gotten a little bit finesse, but not too much. But they're going to have to bring in some of those elite defensive players. And that type of audience, there are a lot of dudes out there that are those type of elite defensive players. So you talk about exposure and the equity long term. Amanda, that game was huge in what Tennessee might be able to bring. I still go back to this one person, Terry Fair, who played defensive back for Tennessee, went on to a borderline Hall of Fame career in the NFL. He didn't even know who Tennessee was. He lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and he saw the Lady Vols one night, and he was like, "I'm interested in Tennessee," because he saw the passion. So you have no idea what dude that is out there that saw that game, and it could be 3 years from now he signs with Tennessee, looks at Tennessee differently because of what happened on Saturday. I cannot emphasize that enough, Amanda.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think most teams have this come to kind of Jesus moment where people start realizing who they are again. People start paying attention. You have, the Reggie Bush USC era. You have when Nick Saban came to Alabama. You have the Kirby Smart, era at Georgia, where people actually start seeing the hats in places that you shouldn't see the hats. You start seeing the flags in places that you shouldn't see the flags. I think Tennessee's reached that mark this time. I don't know how many flags I've seen on cars since Saturday. Like a ton.
It's funny you bring that up because it used to be like every other car had a flag on it in the 2000s, and then things went awry, and obviously there are not as many flags and not as much excitement on a game day. But that's changing, and this offense is changing that. However, I will still say this program has to add more elite defensive talent. They have to adjust just a little bit because I believe they're overly finesse. Now that means they're really fun to watch, but they're a little bit overly finesse to, I believe, win a championship, especially with Georgia. But we'll see. You were going to say something?
Oh no, I mean, I think this Heupel offense is what is bringing in the numbers. It's giving people life, and I agree with you. They're going to have to get a little bit more defensive talent, but I think they definitely will, considering what like Heupel's coaching is bringing, what he's doing to make it better at Tennessee. You get better offensively, you get more recognition, you get better talent. So this will come into play. It'll fall into place as long as he has the defensive coordinator he needs. And Banks is pretty good. So I think you're all right.
By the way, Caleb Calhoun wrote a great article on that. And I do think Tim Banks is very good. I do think that he always has a struggle with the way even practice is run. They're going to focus more on the offense. And that's what Josh Heupel wants to do. But at some point to evolve, and it may take losing to Georgia for 2 or 3 years. I know people don't wanna hear that, but that may be the case. It may take getting to the SEC championship game and losing, but you have to make those sort of adjustments or you're basically Lincoln Riley and you're always knocking on the door and you have to get really fortunate to break through. I think Josh Heupel comes across as a very intelligent person. So if it gets to that point, I think he'll make some adjustments. Weekly awards, just goodness gracious, continue to roll in for Hendon Hooker, named the Maxwell Award Player of the Week by the Maxwell Football Club. He earned the Manning Award Star of the Week acclaim and was tabbed to the Davy O'Brien Great Eight list per Tennessee's Sports Information Department. He had already garnered Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week, SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and Reese's, it's the peanut butter, Senior Bowl Offensive Player of the Week recognition. He was unbelievable against Florida, career best 461 yards of total offense. I didn't want to go off the deep end on Sunday, and I almost wrote this column that Hendon Hooker should be a Heisman finalist, but he should be in New York. And if he continues to play like he is, and I didn't write that because I wanted to see how things played out. And the more people I talk to that are Heisman voters, the more I believe if this keeps up, barring injury, the numbers alone will get him to New York.
Yeah.
I believe that firmly. And you said it too, but I do believe that now. I didn't necessarily even yesterday or the day before, but I believe that if these numbers keep up, there's no way to keep him out. Now, can he win if Bryce Young has won an SEC title or Stetson Bennett gets a career award, winning an SEC title? I don't think he can win it, but getting to New York is a big, big darn deal.
See, my problem, and here's a tangent, but my problem with the Heisman is that it's always given to, I feel like it's given to the best player on the best team. And I don't think that's necessarily what should happen. It should be the player that means the most to a team, that if you took that player away, the team would be completely lost. And I'm not saying Bryce Young didn't deserve it. I'm just saying if you took Bryce Young out of Alabama's offense, Alabama would be fine. If you took Stetson Bennett out of Georgia's offense, Georgia would be fine. They would be completely fine. If you took Hendon Hooker away from Tennessee, we're talking about a completely different team here. And I think the Heisman should go to the teammate or person in college football that leads his team the best, that means the most to his team, that his team would not be his team without him. And I think that's Hendon Hooker, hands down.
Daniel said he had a thought, said being Cedric Tillman, being out might have been the best thing to happen to Hendon Hooker. Maybe he got too comfortable going to his guy. I think opening things up is a very positive thing for Hendon Hooker, and you got other guys involved in the offense, and Brew McCoy more involved, and we already know he's good. By the way, that portion of the program brought to you by Zool Beer Company.
Crack one open.
He's Amanda's cracking open one, and I did that on a post-game show after a Tennessee basketball game, and I got the meanest look in the world from John Wilkerson because you would think it was a beer because it was nighttime, but it was a Diet Coke. And Amanda's having, I believe, a Diet Dr. Pepper. But nevertheless, if he gets to New York, then that's huge. But as far as to Daniel's point, the ability to spread the ball around could be absolutely monstrous for Tennessee. And I think other than probably Ohio State, that Tennessee has the best group of receivers. Now, you want to talk best duo when healthy, Tillman and McCoy, I'll take them over anybody. But if you want to talk 1 to 5, I believe Ohio State probably has 4 first-rounders eventually in different classes. But other than Ohio State, I'm going to take Tennessee's group of receivers right up there with anybody in the country.